Hey, so I have an idea for some videos. I'm going to start doing more of advice, but also like lessons, spiritual lessons, but also like practical everyday lessons. Stuff that I've learned on my spiritual journey and stuff that I'm working on. And also, I would love to answer questions that you guys have. If you have any questions and need any advice about any situation, I would love to help you guys out with using, tarot, but also like I receive psychic messages without having to use tools. It's just tarot just makes it a little easier. It's like maybe I'm relying on it. Anyways, so for like videos that I'm not sure what I should do about, I'm just going to pull a card and just kind of see where spirit leads me. So, what do people need to hear about right now? What should I talk about right now? What do people need to hear? Rebirth. Okay, rebirth and guarding your energy. So it's actually a really good topic, and I think it's going to be more and more important as time goes on and we see world events that are currently happening that we have really no control over, right? So I believe that in society right now we are going through a period of rebirth. We are, in the sign or the age of Aquarius. So like the old paradigm of being very patriarchal and like overbearing, and it was a very time of your seen not heard, right? And we saw that in the corporate or business world, where if you were being harassed in any kind of way, you don't say anything because you're afraid of repercussions, that you'll get fired because you're speaking up. Where now it's all about, you see something, say something. And I think that's a lot of something we need to move through as a society, especially I know like in my community, like I'm Hispanic. We are taught a lot about like, it's not your business. Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. If something's going on with somebody, it's best to just pretend you don't see it and just move on. So like there's a lot of, I believe, like crime that happens in our communities where we are not holding each other accountable because we believe it's not our business, because we were taught it's not our business. You don't want to snitch, you don't want to, and there's a fine line. Obviously you don't want to be Karen and try to tell on everybody for no fucking reason. Not what I'm saying. But I believe that, if we do see somebody being treated, unfairly, that we should help them out, stand up for them, you know, um, and hold other people accountable. If we are working at a place and we see that our manager is maybe embezzling funds or something, that it's not right. Seek the appropriate channels to go through the, chain of command. But I believe that like it's time for us to stop turning a blind eye to everything and just letting it happen. That's how things have gotten the way it has, and the structure that we've been living in is because, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. But a lot of the reason why the rich have been getting richer is because we haven't been holding them accountable. They do shitty things and we're just like, well, that's life, whatever. We can't do nothing about it. But little by little, people have been speaking out. With the Ellen show, that was pretty crazy, where there was apparently sexual harassment that has been going on for years. And finally, somebody decided to say something about it. And I think they might have tweeted it, but they didn't say it for a long time because they knew they were going to get fired for it. But once they left, they couldn't handle it anymore. I think they left, and then that's when they opened up about it. And then a lot of people came forward and was like, yes, this is what's really happening, and it's a miserable place to work. But no one would have ever known that if there wasn't that first whistleblower. All right, same thing with the Wells Fargo fiasco that was happening, what, maybe 10 years ago, and I think they're still paying out money for lawsuits because they crappy. Apparently, like, they were opening fake accounts in people's names, so people were having multiple accounts not even knowing it, because there was a huge push for, you got bonuses for opening new accounts. And in many places, you didn't have that big of a population to be able to do that. So people were just opening ghost accounts, in order to get those bonuses. And also, I think it was like a requirement. Like, in order not to get fired, you had to open so many a month. Um, and they were just doing like a lot of sneaky stuff. And then, like, the whole, like, mortgage crisis where they were just giving out loans to everybody because I think they got a certain percentage or commission, maybe. But anyways, like, they were giving out loans to people they know they shouldn't have, that were going to default on their loans, and they were going to go into foreclosure, but they did it anyways. So there's like a lot of ethical stuff that, is finally coming to light because somebody at a branch decided to step up against this big corporation, Wells Fargo. She ended up getting fired. Her, I guess, branch manager, I think, the first, like, person, documented person that started fighting against Wells Fargo, she got fired for unrelated, you know, reasons, but she continued to fight it, and she, got the, other people that have been treated unfairly for whistleblowing together. And I think they actually followed, I think that's what happened. They filed a lawsuit against Wells Fargo. But anyways, like, Wells Fargo got in big trouble, but still not in as big trouble as they should have been in. I think the CEO, he resigned, but like with a huge severance package. So, like, there's still stuff that we need to work on in a society, but I'm glad that there's, like, ethics is becoming towards the forefront. I'm in school for business right now, and a lot of my classes are about ethics. And, turning a blind eye to stuff is not always the best, course of action. You think, well, it has nothing to do with me, it's not my company. But in reality, like, you're not helping the world become a better atmosphere and environment for people to work in, right? Because if they're doing unethical stuff with money, they're going to make money at any cost possible, right? Meaning that your job is expendable if you cost them money. So, I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see even more of this shift in the paradigm of people really holding each other accountable. But unfortunately, so with any kind of movement or change, it's a pendulum swing, right? I guess, the earth is all about polarity and duality. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of this now with the whole, like, cancel culture, right? So yeah, we're holding people accountable, but it's like, immediately cancel them, fuck them, don't, the whole Frankenstein kind of scenario. So, like, right now we're seeing the pendulum swing to the completely opposite side, but eventually, it'll swing and it will even out and balance, where we do hold people accountable for their actions. The whole Hollywood thing of, like, the Weinsteins, of basically being like, you can't be cast if you don't get on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, holding people accountable, whistleblowing, and putting people out there when they don't act ethically, but not automatically, being like, let's ruin their whole life. Because unfortunately, some people, they don't know any better. I don't know if I fully believe that, but I believe we should give them a chance. And then if within that chance they still keep messing up, then yeah, we should definitely cancel them. Like, people should not be allowed to make money off of unethical, like, practices and behaviors, and just, like, being predators, basically, right? And that's where, like, we in society, like, as a society, really need to stand together. And I mean, the best way to really insist in this rebirth of our society, of our world as a whole, which is interesting because if you look into, like, Mayan prophecy, everybody was like, oh, 2012, that's the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. What? No. So apparently there's actually, so there's different, it's separated into, like, different measurements of years. like 10-year prophecies. There's like 20, there's 100, something like that. But there is one measurement of, let me look this up real quick. It's called Catoons. Mayan calendar. Catoon. So, I'll read what it says. A Catoon is a unit of time in the Mayan calendar equal to 20 tunes or 7,200 days, equivalent to 19.7 tropical years, right? So there's a set of prophecies that actually go with the whole 20-year periods. Let me look that up real quick. Prophecies. Right. So that's very interesting. So, okay, so there is a portion of the prophecy for Catoon 2, which is 2012 to 2032, right? That it says it was halfway famine and it was halfway feast. That was the burden of Catoon to Ahua. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Ahau, which is very interesting because I think that's where like guarding your energy comes in. It seems like there has been a real big split over the last 2 years, or at least in my awareness of, like, there are people that are living in the 3D and then there's people that are living in the 5D, right? And to me right now, like, the 5D is like ascending the only living in the like the physical plane, the people that really don't have a grasp on spirituality, manifesting, reality transurfing, all those things. Basically just trying to become your best self and allowing yourself to become the person that you were supposed to be in this lifetime, right? Because we all have free will, so we can choose either to live our purpose or to not. And it's so interesting because especially lately, especially like with world events happening, but even with 2 years ago with the pandemic and all that going on, you just saw a real big divide of people that were scared and were like totally living in their fear, and the few people that were like, whatever, like, universe has my back, God has my back, Allah has my back, whoever that is you contribute to source has my back, so no matter what, like, I'm fine, right? But it's interesting to see, like, people that are actively working on themselves, people that are actively doing shadow work, people that are actively not toxic positivity, but that understand the whole thing of change the things you can and accept the things you can't, right? That there is no point into worrying about things that are way beyond your scope that are either going to happen or not going to happen. However, your thoughts are very powerful, right? Everything in this universe is vibration. Okay? And so thoughts are a form of vibration. And so they can become tangible things, right? Especially thoughts become words, which are also vibration, which become tangible things, which is why in the Bible it says the power of life and death is in the tongue, right? You speak what you want. What you say is what you have, right? So by feeding into this fear and this frenzy, I feel like it's actually doing the world a disservice because it's adding energy to the reality that we don't want, right? It's like when you're going for a big interview for a job you really want, if you keep saying, oh, I'm not going to get it, I suck too much, like, more than likely that's what's going to happen. And I do believe that everything happens, for the highest good. So even if you have that positivity, but you don't get the job, that's because I personally believe that something better is coming, or that's not your life path, right? So with the pandemic and everything, that's the way that I wrote it out. And I mean, in 2 years, I got kind of sick once, and it was because I was stressed out about money. That's when my immune system starts acting up, is when I get stressed about money. And it's funny, I decided to turn over a card. Self care is needed. And I think that's very important for this time with all this going on, is that you have to take care of yourself first and foremost, right? That's what's going to help build up your system. Yeah. Exercise, eating right. We are what we eat. Meditation, breathing, stress outlets, practicing love, giving love, receiving love, very important. And taking time to care for yourself, because when we're stressed, that really leaves us vulnerable spiritually and physically for attacks to happen, right? So that's something I've really prioritized, and I've changed a lot the way I've been eating over these past couple of years, and it's really interesting to see the impact that it makes. And even if it's just a placebo of, me eating better and me changing the way I exercise, me getting sick, it doesn't have me down for more than 2 days. And even then, I'm still able to do stuff and I'm able to function, and it's not that bad, right? Where I've seen people that I've known, that were exposed to the same thing as me, were in the hospital. So it's nuts to see all that happen. So guarding your energy, I think, is very important also for this time period, and it's a very important thing, period, within your life. Knowing how to properly guard your energy, right? In the Bible, it says, touch no man suddenly, or don't lay your hands on any person suddenly, something like that. So it's a very interesting concept, because I believe that's talking about, okay, so there's this crazy movie. What is it called? It has Denzel Washington. Okay. So it's about basically this demon. Fallen. Okay, so if y'all haven't seen this movie, Fallen, y'all need to watch it. It has really cool spiritual principles about don't be touching everybody, and you really have to guard your energy and know that we have to have our spiritual eyes on, right? And I think that's a lot of the difference between the 5D living and 3D living, is having our spiritual eyes on, right? Because most people see something and they just see what is presented to them, right? They see the mask, they see the illusion. It's almost like in the Matrix. They see what the image that the computer is generating, right? But we need to be more like Neo, that can literally see the code behind everything, that can see what is really behind the facade, right? That can see what's really happening. And that's what we need to be doing in these times, is really understanding and seeing from a spiritual perspective to be able to see what's really happening compared to what they're showing us. What people present to us. It's the same thing of, when you meet people, we try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and, you gotta let people prove themselves. Okay, to an extent. Because energy doesn't lie, right? Energy never lies. So somebody can be clean cut, John Wayne Gacy, just saying. Serial killer. He was very clean cut. He was such a pillar and staple in his community. No one ever realized that dude was raping and killing boys and burying them. Right? So it's very important that we stop looking at what's just in front of us and seeing beyond. Now, and that's what really is important, of having that relationship with spirit, so that it's not that you're not listening to the wrong entities, right? I think that is a part of, sometimes society think, what mental illness is, like when people start hearing voices and it tells them to do bad things, or that makes them really like paranoid. They're like, oh, well, that's just your brain. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I believe that to a point, but I believe some of those people are under spiritual attack and don't understand what's happening, right? Because nobody in their life can see for them, right? So they are being open to these lower energy, these lower vibrational beings. Could be shadow people. That's a whole nother topic. That are telling them these things, and they can hear these beings and or potentially see them, and they're telling them all these things. And so that's why it's really important that we know who we're listening to when we get images, when we see things, when we hear things, whatever your strong clair is. You know, me, I just have like a thing of knowing. So it's a claircognizance. I just know a lot of times. It's just, I got the answer. Um, which makes watching movies and TV sometimes not so fun. But anyways, um, but I've had to really learn to guard my energy from negative and low vibrational things so I can make sure that my relationship with spirit that is more fine tuned, that I'm hearing what spirit is saying or my higher self is saying rather than what maybe my ego is saying or what maybe like the fear in me is saying or even what maybe like negative entities around me are saying. Because you know, if you're sensitive in any kind of way, you're automatically open, right? Everybody has gifts. Everybody is psychic. That's just, I believe, a part of. We are supposed to, as a species, I believe, to be more like ants and bees, where we collaborate and we're telepathic and we're all connected in a web in order to work better together. But I believe that, you know, at some point we became separated. Maybe that's interesting. I just heard, you know, Garden of Eden. Anyways, that we became separated. And so, like, we have to work on getting that connection back with each other. But we all have that connection. So, psychic people or sensitive people, I believe, already just can tap into that web. And so, like, you know, you're just able to receive that information about people because you are tapped into it, where other people have to work on opening to it. Anyway, sorry. So guarding your energy also consists of raising your vibration, right? When I was younger, you know, a lot of spooky things would happen to me, basically. I've had a lot of experiences with like things talking to me, seeing things, things being moved, me being touched, my name being called out, you know, a lot of. Fortunately, when you're sensitive, things will try to attach themselves to you, right? And so you are always a vibrational match for things that you attract into your life, knowing and unknowingly, okay? So I used to attract, on accident, a lot of low vibrational stuff. And like suicide and depression have followed me my whole life. Like since I was probably, I know in elementary school, I started thinking about this kind of stuff. And it has followed me my whole life up until maybe about 2.5, 3 years ago. I used to be on medication for bipolar, for depression, for anxiety, and for ADHD. They thought I was crazy as hell. But that's because I didn't understand who I was, my purpose in this world, why I was different, and how to handle being different, right? And I'm still learning. I'm still learning about guarding my energy because if I'm in a big group of people, I can only be there for so long until I'm just totally wiped out energetically. Like I'll go home and sleep for like 2 days, you know? So a lot of times I purposely am not around a lot of people so I don't have to go through that. But I know I don't have to live like that. Like, you know, Jesus didn't go through that. Jesus didn't heal people and was like, all right, I'll see you in about 3 years. I can't handle it again. No. But he understood really how to use his gift and to guard his energy, and for people not to, that he didn't give of himself. He gave from source that channeled through him, right? And that's something I have to understand about my gifts as well. My energy is not giving my energy out, but giving the energy that comes from source down through my crown, you know, out in however that I am used. But during the time of like raising your vibration, it's very important to guard your energy. And by raising your vibration, it will ward off automatically lower level things, lower level people, lower level entities, lower level just energy, period. Right? Because you have to be a vibrational match to attract those things. So as you raise your vibration, those things just can't fuck with you anymore. Right? And if you don't know about raising your vibration, a lot of it is really working on yourself in order to let go of emotions and wounds that are low vibrational. So, like, one of my biggest issues is anger. But the core of anger is hurt, right? So, I do have a lot of hurt and pain and sadness that are associated with my past. And the way that I coped with it all these years was just letting it bubble into anger because it almost made me feel powerful or in control, right? But then I just became an angry fucking person all the time, and that's not fun. It's not fun to be that person and just wanting to fucking set the world on fire. But so working on those issues that has caused all that hurt in my life has helped me raise my vibration, right? That I attract way better quality people into my life. Now, I'm not saying that everybody that comes along is like somebody that's supposed to be in my life, but like, say for relationships, like after 4 or 5 years ago, I was in a really bad relationship. And I even told him, I said, I know why we're together. I attracted you into my life because we are the same. I'm a shithead and you're a shithead, right? And I was like, it makes sense. But I had a lot of karma to work through, a lot, because I was such a bad person back then. Wow, such a bad person. So I had a lot of stuff that I needed to work on. And after him, I really made a conscious effort to raise my vibration so that I attract somebody that will be good or better for me because I finally am better for someone, right? We can't attract Mr. Right or Mrs. Right if we're not right ourselves. The universe is not that much of a sadistic, entity, right? So you attract who you are. And that's something I've really learned, is also being able to tell the people that I know that aren't my match that I don't want anything to do with them, right? Dating, that was something that I really made sure, is that if I felt your energy was off, or if I knew that you weren't working on yourself, or you weren't trying to be spiritual in any way, I was just like, I'm sorry. You're right for somebody, just not for me. I just didn't want that conflict and energy. But it's okay to say no, and you have to say no a lot when you're really looking for something that matches your life. It's like house hunting, right? You're not going to say yes to the first house that is shown to you, because that could be a lot of problems. All of a sudden, you're stuck in a house that you're having to do, $100,000 worth of renovations in. Whereas if you realize what was really for you, you would wait for that, and everything else you say no to, right? So, I think that's really all I have to say about those topics. But in this time, it's very important to guard your energy, especially, like I said, with the issues, the events that are going on. Don't let other people's fear seep into you and it become your fear, right? Because I believe that when we are really on a spiritual path, working one-on-one with our guides, and we are trying to fulfill our purpose, that we don't have to live like other people, and that we have more control over, we could influence world events by really like meditating on love and really working on ourselves. Not saying that we can prevent stuff from happening, but I feel like when we really have to work on ourselves and raising our vibration, that's our first step for helping the world and what's going on. And that we have to be very careful of the company we keep. We have to be very careful of the people that we are around and the conversations we are having, right? If you see that conversations keep going in a negative way, do not entertain yourself with that stuff. The Bible tells us to think about stuff that is good, that is just, that is lovely, has to do with joy and happiness, peace, love, right? There's a reason for that. It's keeping you in a vibrational alignment for the things that you're trying to attract and also in the reality that you want to be in. I want to be in a reality where I don't live in fear, that I don't have to worry about locking my doors and having to worry about, wars and rumors of wars and worrying about, oh, is my boyfriend going to leave me? Oh, am I going to ever get married? Oh, is this going to happen? Is that? I don't give a fuck. Right? And you really have to get to a place where you need to learn to not give a fuck about those things you can't change. Because all it's going to do is just stress you out and put stress on your body and keep bringing more of that stress into your life, right? We attract what we are, okay? So as we work through our issues, we're letting go of guilt, shame, we're letting go of abandonment issues, we're letting go of trauma, we're letting go of anger, of hate, we're letting go of all that stuff, which all those things are lower vibrational. So we're letting go of those things in order to rise in our vibration. And, and meditating on stuff like love and happiness and peace is very good, not only for yourself, but it's good for the world because that energy is not contained to just us, right? So that is all I have to say. Is there any other messages you want me to talk about, Spirit? It says ask for help. If you don't really know how to do these things, leave a comment. Like, I'll give you resources that I've, books that I've read or people that I listen to that has really helped me. Also, ask your angels, your spirit guides, whoever that you, what is your spiritual journey or path. Ask for help. Prayer is not limited to religion. It is just a conversation that you are having with the universe, and it's helping you be in alignment with what you want, right? So just ask for help. All right? Love and light. I hope to see you guys soon. Like, comment, tell me what you think about this kind of videos, and if you want more. Also, I would love questions or things that, you guys want for me to talk about. All right? See you later.